All right, so hey, we're back here with the Penis Hammer podcast, blog, whatever you want to call it. I'm Ron Bonk.
And I'm Jonathan Straiton.
And we're here for another installment. I mean, I'm not sure what order we're going to run these in, but this is actually our second one running them. This is the first time we've tried the Skype, so might be working some kinks out in the system here. But if worse comes to worse, as just saying to Jonathan, we'll just run a bunch of other video over this as we talk. So tonight's topic, Jonathan, anything specifically you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, last time we were talking, I'd asked you about VHS, and we were going to talk a little bit about that, and because I was surprised, the new VHS wave of filmmakers coming in and making all these films on VHS or releasing or re-releasing, older films that I don't think even were shot on VHS or video now on VHS, and I just thought it was funny. So yeah, if you want to go ahead.
The format's definitely open to more than just movies shot on VHS. Officially, there's only, I think, a few filmmakers who are actually shooting on VHS. Like Chris Seaver comes to mind. As you know, when I shot She Kills, I did do the movie also in VHS, SVHS, as we were shooting in an HD. I know a few other filmmakers who I think specifically have shot on VHS, but majority of them are actually shooting on HD or just their regular formats, or they made the movie years ago on an analog format, and someone like myself, a distributor like SRS Cinema or Sub Rosa Studios, comes along and just says, hey, liked your movie, I'd like to put it out under my label for a limited edition VHS. And again, it's all formats. I've released stuff that was shot on, I believe 35 millimeter film. Maybe some of the Fred Olen Ray movies or the Ted Bohus ones. Those were at least 16 millimeter. They just, in the case of Sub Rosa, I just sought out movies that I was fans of. Mostly movies that I was fans of growing up, not so much the stuff that's currently out there. Some filmmakers are, taking upon themselves to do these VHS releases, and some are signing with other distributors to put their stuff out. So it's just kind of a craze that it's had some longevity. I mean, I've been doing it for over a year. It's been it's been a couple years, I think, since VHS really came back full force, and it's been back for 3 or 4 years at this point. Just maybe more niche than it is now. It's still very niche. I mean, I only do 30 to 50 units at a time. I know some guys will do 100, 150. I think Mondo does like 500 each of theirs. They did one for Maniac, and before that, I think it was House of the Devil. There's probably something in between there. So there's just, there's an audience. There's people who want to hold VHS boxes. They like to display the art. It's a little more exciting than the smaller DVD art or the Blu-ray. So I guess that's the appeal of it. Was there something I didn't cover there?
Yeah, well, because it's funny, because when I was younger and, coming up making films in various formats, I only, dreamed about the day that, I could buy something affordable that looked actually like film. And that really wasn't till the last few years. So it's I'm surprised that, how VHS has come back and now it's considered like, I guess like an art form, even though some, like you said, aren't shot on video. Who do you think started that? Like, what was the first...
I'm not really sure. I know, I remember going to Cinema Wasteland years ago and hearing about a VHS release that I think Massacre Video had done that had sold out like first day or within the first, 24 hours. And I was just surprised, that it had sold out and had done that well. I had been bringing some old VHS units to the show just to get rid of them, and they actually were doing pretty well, especially on Friday night, the first night of the event. That's probably when the collectors were coming through and snagging the stuff. So I had no idea VHS was really back. Not sure who brought it back. Some people do like to view the movies on VHS. I guess it's sort of like the vinyl, like the LPs, where they like that sound. Some people like the look of VHS, the graininess, whatever, that it adds to a feature. I'm like you. I always wanted to make the movies look better. I wanted to have that film look. The first time I looked through a video camera, I was like shocked I couldn't make it look like the scene I wanted, or the shot I wanted to look like that I'd seen like in a movie or something like that. So to finally get to like, you know, the DSLRs, which we shot the last couple movies on, and be able to get that more film like look, that more cinematic look, to see it sort of stepping back for some filmmakers again, or for fans to want it to look more grainy or rougher or with tracking issues or whatever, is a bit surprising. But again, only some guys are shooting on VHS and want that look. Before I got back into the VHS, there was actually this wave of interest in the shot and video movies of the 90s that's still out there a bit. It's kind of crosses over into the VHS realm. But before that, I mean, had all these young fans who were discovering these movies. Unlike a lot of the VHS collectors who say we're really young, remember the video stores, majority of them are kind of going back to that. You know, they like that feeling they had when they were a kid walking through a video store and looking at all the boxes. With the shot on video stuff, it was mostly like guys in their 20s who had discovered these movies and loved them, which is funny. Guys in their 20s in the 90s hated these movies, but they're more used to film. I think we're getting the generation that grew up with video camcorders, have looked at themselves in video camcorders, were more used to the look when they seen it, and we're embracing these old movies, you know, which I myself, you know, some of them I thought I'd made were pretty horrible. So like I said, that started before the VHS craze, and sort of crosses over. If you get a shot on video movie on VHS, those are among the most collectible VHS copies, tapes that you can find out there.
Huh. What was probably your biggest seller, you think? What was the one that, you know, that you released that, you know, kind of did, I guess, big numbers, or was, you know, sold out immediately?
And VHS nowadays, or
no, VHS since a year ago that this took off. I guess the first thing that sold, you're like, okay, wow, I'm gonna get back into releasing VHS.
They're limited, so it's hard to say which is the best seller, because I've had up to 100 units. Like with Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, I think that was the first one I went to 100 units on, and those all sold off. I've had a few others like Blood Feast that we did 100 units on. Those all sold off. So it's hard to say which is the best seller. The fastest seller, the first run we did on Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, which was just 50, and that was the most I was doing. The first title I started was Day of the Reaper, and it was 30 units, and it sold out pretty fast. So then I decided to go to 50. I was at 50 pretty steady for a while there. Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers sold out so fast, crashed my site. Sold out, I think, within 10 minutes, like 8 minutes, 7 minutes, something crazy like that. And I'd had a few others that had done well, like Lethal Nightmare, which is an unreleased Polonius Brothers film, which is another side topic. If we get back to it, we can talk about why VHS works for some of these movies where DVD doesn't. The Pact, Brad Sykes movie, had sold out really quick. They had a lot of them selling out fast, but I think Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers had just done amazingly quick, just sold out. Like I said, crashed the site. People were upset they didn't get it. So I went back to Fred right away and I said, can I license another 50 from you? And he was game for it, and I put up the next 50 like right away. And all the people who were complaining about not getting one kind of dragged their feet getting the second one. So it took a little while to sell off the next 50, but they did sell off pretty quick. And that was probably my first sign of it, you know, really kind of blowing up. For a while I was doing 100-unit releases because I was reproducing actual big boxes, and they weren't just like printed and assembled like, you know, from a local print house. These were printed at a professional print house. They looked just like the old ones, had the UV coating, they were beautiful. I was doing 100 units each of those because I had to, because of the cost. And those were selling well, but they weren't selling well enough and fast enough for me to continue to do that. And given the workload doing 100 VHS manually by hand, I ended up scaling back to 50 and then eventually back to 30. Even running 30 sometimes, it's just a lot of work. So I'm trying to scale back, but it's kind of tough because I have fans who want these titles, fans of Sub Rosa, who demand them, and they can be fun to do and they can be interesting to do. So I hate to drop doing VHS altogether and focus more back on the filmmaking or the DVD distribution, but at the same time it can be very time consuming.
back to what you were saying about the VHS. Why do you think some films did better on VHS than their original DVD release?
Well, I mentioned like Lethal Nightmare, for example. That was a Polonia Brothers movie that had never gotten released. Shot on 16 millimeter. The audio track on it had I can hear you pouring.
Oh, sorry. It's JTS Brown. They're not our sponsor, but
that's fine. I got my whiskey too.
Yeah, thing about this whiskey is it's not really expensive. It's kind of cheap actually, but I was watching The Hustler on Netflix, and it's the whiskey that Paul Newman drinks throughout the movie and in Color Money. But he keeps, every time he goes in the bar, he's like, give me a JTS Brown. So wanted to try it. It's pretty good for cheap whiskey, but yeah, anyway, go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, it sounded like you're urinating or something.
I was.
So you pissing in a bucket? Well, I was starting to say with Lethal Nightmare, the original audio track that Mark had for the movie had these dropouts, like every few seconds, like every 15 seconds or something like that. And his brother's passed a few years ago, was on the original recording. So I'm sure Mark didn't want to go back and redub everything and redo the audio recording. But so if you released it like that on DVD, people picked it up, would be returning it to the store and assuming it's defective and wanting a new one. But if you release on VHS and you go out and say, hey, there's just 50 units of this. This is a lost Polonia Brothers movie for the Polonia Brother fan completists. You tell them in advance that there is an issue with the audio, but this is the only way we can supply it. These guys are forgetting about that. They want to see these movies from the filmmakers that they're fans of that they've never been able to see. So we're able to do that with a few from Mark, like Lethal Nightmare and Church of the Damned was another one from him. I did a release of Midnight 2, which was the original cut, which was like 90 minutes. The release cut was like 72 minutes. So this is the first cut that the people at Tempe sent over to John Russo to take a look at. No final polished edit there, no final soundtrack and stuff like that. But it was a chance for fans to see what the movie looked like when it was first cut together, in its roughest form. We've had a number of movies like that. We've been able to do that, and it's just 30 to 50 units. Like I said, we're going direct to retail, which is one of the benefits of VHS, and that's why there's extra profit in it. Where DVD, majority of our DVD sales are wholesale. We never meet the customers. We never talk to the retailers directly because it's handled through our distributor. With VHS, we're interacting with the fans. We can tell them what's up with the title, so there's no surprises. And we get that instant feedback from them. They'll tell us how much they love the title, how much they appreciate it, to be able to see, one of these lost flicks.
Huh. Do you see the VHS craze kind of slowing down, or do you think it has a shelf life?
I felt like it was gonna slow down, but it seems like every time I think it's about to start slowing down, a new VHS distributor pops up, and there just seems to be a new one, every few weeks, and they'll release something and do pretty well. My titles were selling out. They slowed down for a bit, and then they were selling out really fast again. The last one I did, Carmela, which was a little different for us. It was more of an erotic title. It had a lot of blood in it, but it was based almost like a softcore porn type title. I had seen a few other distributors do well with softcore type titles like that, and so I figured I'd give it a try. And this movie you never see pop up like on eBay in the old original editions, but that's been kind of a slow seller. It sold like 20 right away, but the last 10 are just kind of kicking around. So it's hard to say if it's a hot title from one of our more popular directors like Tim Ritter, someone like that. It'll sell out quick, sometimes within hours. If it's something a little bit more experimental, like I'm picking it up because I'm a fan of it, but it's not really that well known among the VHS collectors or the underground fans, then it might take a little bit longer to sell. But it doesn't really seem to be backing off that much. I myself want to try some titles on Blu-ray. I see some impressive numbers for filmmakers selling Blu-rays themselves that they've made themselves. They sell them pretty quick. They get some pretty good numbers for them. I'd like to kind of go in the opposite direction and try mastering some of these movies. So I'm hoping to kind of mix things up by doing both VHS and Blu-ray. Maybe instead of doing 2 VHS a month, maybe we'll do 1 VHS and 1 Blu-ray. But Blu-ray is a little more time-consuming.
Yeah. Something we always talk about and always, vent about is, working with other people, namely actors and whatnot, on our sets, and how much they say they're going to push our film and promote it, and then they never do, and all, the only I hear from them, hey, when's the movie gonna be done? And it's kind of like that's all they care about, and it just, actors seem so selfish to me. Not all actors, not all the actors I worked with. Some have been great at promoting and stuff, but especially on our level, the key is getting the word out about the film. So every little, promotion or just talking about it helps. And,
every little plug helps.
Yeah. And so it's just really frustrating. We have jokes, about certain actors will promote stuff if it's something that has to do with them in the film. Like, say, it's a screenshot of the movie, right? So you do a screenshot of the movie, and maybe it's just like a landscape or something. I feel that everyone involved in the film should promote and plug that, even though it's this landscape, whatever it's the movie, check it out, new image. But then you have, and some will, and then you have other actors who won't, unless it's that actor is actually in the frame grab or screenshot. Then they promote only stuff that they're in, and we've always, promoted each other's work, and, regardless of how much we were involved in it, and other filmmakers as well. So, we always talk about how frustrating that is. So I don't know, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
This is almost like a topic for a whole nother show with this, like the 4 minutes we have left if we end at, say, 30 minutes. But yeah, obviously I've had this discussion with you a lot. I think you brought it to my attention more, before I really sort of realized it was happening. I agree. When if you're a part of production, every little plug can help out. Reach a few more fans who might pick it up, might buy it, might buzz about it, might pass it on to somebody else who would then be interested in it. So I don't see why, if you're part of the production and you didn't have a particular problem with the production, like if I worked on a movie set and I don't know, the director was just a dick or something, and I didn't want to promote his efforts, maybe in that case I wouldn't want to be a part of the PR. But in 99% of the cases, my attitude is, if I'm working on a production or associated with in some way, or it's a friend of mine like yourself, I'm going to push that movie. So I don't get it why some filmmakers don't do it, or why some actors or crew don't do it. If they're consistent about it, I guess I could understand it. If they're not someone who really wants that stuff on their page, maybe they have a fan page, maybe, I don't know, they only promote certain work they do on movies, and you tag them into a photo as an actor. Maybe their director comes in and acts in your project, and you tag them as an actor. They don't really promote themselves as an actor. They might not share it on their page. As long as they're consistent, I can understand that. It's the inconsistencies that'll bug me. And the one that'll bug me more that you didn't touch on, I don't believe, was when they have a major role or major part of a production I did, and then they in turn aren't promoting it whenever I tag them, whenever I have new post up, whenever I tag them in it, they won't share it on their page or make it accessible on their page. But meanwhile, some other production that maybe they did a very tiny thing for, or maybe they did nothing for, but they're just a fan of the filmmaker, they'll promote all his stuff. And I've been frustrated by that. You said to me is maybe these guys view it as like, you don't need the help. You're out there a lot, your company's out there a lot, maybe they don't think you need the plugs, where XYZ filmmaker who is starting out or hasn't been out there quite as long as me, or out there as much as me, maybe they feel they need the help and they're doing them a favor, and I don't need it. But I'm appreciative of it. I don't know about you, but if I see someone share their photo I've tagged them in from the movie on their page, and then in turn even share it other places, you know, I'm just very grateful for that.
No, yeah, no, I am too. It goes a long way if they share something or whatever, you know. I might buy them Christmas presents. I don't know. But,
I'll definitely cast him in the next movie.
But yeah, it's just
Maybe.
yeah, it's tough because I see that them promoting other films, and you know, and I do think part of you know, a lot of in your case, why actors might not. I think that they see you, you know, much bigger than the other films they're plugging, and they don't feel that you need it. And
let me just say that I do need it. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's, you know,
Any
they
little
think
bit
that
helps,
you
so.
don't need it, but everybody needs it. You know, they should be promoting, they should be whoring that shit out. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, and you just hear it all the time. Oh man, you know, especially on set when this movie. When you drop your teaser, I'm gonna be like promoting it so much.
Yeah.
They do like one
Forgot
share and then that's it. You know. So.
Yeah, I haven't forgot about that. That you do have the people on set who'll talk it up. You know, like as soon as you have something out there, just let me know. They act like they have a giant press junket, giant press force behind them that is just gonna go crazy on this movie, and then you drop it, and they're not even sharing it. But that's most extreme. Most of the guys I think we've worked with haven't been that bad. Some guys do mix. Some people are great at sharing tons of stuff. I have people with very small roles or really only part of the crew who will share every update and like it and push it around and stuff like that. And then, you know, one guy in particular on my last movie that's coming to mind, he had a major role in the movie, but he has never shared any of the photos. Maybe one, I think, of him specifically, but some other photos that he was in, that he was tagged in, he didn't share on his page, and he shares stuff. He's active in wanting to be an actor. He's active in wanting to be a filmmaker, but he won't put my stuff on his page, but he'll put, you know, everyone else's stuff on his page that he's even remotely associated with. And I've even shared some of his stuff that he's done on my pages, just to show support for him. So I don't know what's going on there. Is it a jealousy thing? Is it him not thinking I need it? I don't know, you know. It is sort of baffling, and I guess, you know, let the record be set straight, however you say it. Let me set the record straight, I guess that's how I'm trying to say it, is I do appreciate the PR, and if you've worked on one of my movies, I appreciate every time that you go out there and share it. It helps to get the word out there that much more. So let's wrap this up until next Tuesday.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm Ron Bonk.
And I'm Jonathan Straiton.
And thanks for joining us.
All right, have a good night. Peace.
Peace. If you enjoyed this show, please leave us a like below. Your likes are deeply appreciated. If this video reaches 100 likes, we'll do a special bonus episode of Penis Hammer. Also, check out the audio-only versions of this show and bonus podcasts at penishammer.podbean.com. Also, don't forget to follow the Sub Rosa Network here on YouTube and at www.facebook.com/Sub Rosa Network. Peace out.